to do another live video and explain some things about germs and health and what you may be doing, not only weakening your immune system, weakening your family's immune system, but setting yourself up for disaster later on in life. So we're going to talk about immunity, and we're germs, bacteria, viruses, and we look at this and think, can we avoid this stuff? Do we need to? We're in a state right now. We're going around with masks and masks in our car. Outside, we have masks on. We're hiding in our house. Is all that good, or is there some negative behind this? I'm going to explain some things. You got to make your decision for yourself. But there was a thing called the Hygiene Hypothesis. We're going to get into that. And so let's just dive right in. And let's look at this. And it says, neuroscientists say that there's mounting evidence. It's kind of funny. They had to come up with this. That changes in modern hygiene have caused disruptions in ancient relationship between microorganisms in soil, food, and your gut. That these disruptions may contribute to the increasing rates of depression. If you've noticed and you've talked to people, we are not living in a high state of energy, excitement, and fun right now. We're in a state of depression, anxiety, and fear. And because of that, that disrupts your own immune system, making you more vulnerable. Now listen to this. The hygiene hypothesis meant that early on in life, you were exposed to germs and dirt and bugs and bacteria and viruses. So this early exposure would build antibodies. So you were around dirt, you played in dirt, your kids played in dirt, and your kids would stick their fingers in their mouth, stick toys in their mouth. The kids would take the other toys and the dog would lick the toys. But this would build antibodies. So your body would recognize these bacteria invaders and respond to them, build up their own immunity to them, so then they could protect your body in case of invaders later that were bad, and you could control them. So you eventually cause protection and you increase your immunity. Where are these invaders? It's in the dirt, the environment, work, school, home. They're everywhere. They're on this piece of paper. They're on this marker. They're on my glasses, my table. You will not avoid them. So we're in a state right now, we're trying to avoid the germs. We're trying to avoid the virus. We're saying, well, if we just hide out long enough, we'll be safe. And in some situations, you may need to hide out from the virus if you're very vulnerable. But do we all need to do this? I was out on a run today, building my immune system, getting fresh air, building my natural immunity, not fake immunity or artificial immunity through vaccines. I do it naturally. And I said, either we do or we do not have the ability to defend. Either we have the ability to defend against this virus or we don't. Either we do or we don't. God, who created us? God created our bodies with the ability to defend. We have to take stewardship, ownership of this body and take care of it. If we allow the host to be weakened and we wreck it with poor food, poor lifestyle choices, lack of sunlight, lack of exercise, lack of social community involvement, lack of love, you will depress your immune system and you will be extremely vulnerable. Now we're going to come out of this and we're going to start going back into society. And if you've been hiding out long enough where you have sprayed everything, cleaned everything, and not touched any bacteria, the host, you have become weaker and more vulnerable. So you'll have to ease yourself into this. You have to get your body's immune system strong and healthy. You can do this with supplements. You can do this with food. You can do this with exercise, environment, sunshine. You do it with getting adjusted. Every time you get adjusted, you get a boost to your immune system. So either we do or we don't. If we don't, if we cannot defend and we have to hide out, then we're in a state of hiding for the rest of our life. We have to hide out for every flu virus. Anytime somebody gets sick, we're going to have to run indoors, close our windows, spray, clean, and wait until it's over. And guess what? It's never going to be over. There's going to be continual viruses all the time. So we look at this, and this is research, and they said if you're too clean, you deprive yourself of the exposure of bacteria that your body needs to program itself to keep inflammation at bay. Listen to this. This is powerful. Depression is associated with heart disease. In fact, the risk of heart disease is doubled with people with depression. Watch where I'm going here. Heart disease has also been linked to hygiene hypothesis. Keeping yourself too clean. In a 2005 study, they found that children who caught viral infections early on could reduce their later risk of heart disease by 90%. Listen to this. This is huge. If they had 2 viral infections, they would reduce heart attack risk by 40%. 4 infections by 60%. 6 infections by 90%, reducing the risk of heart attack. And what if every time we use antibiotics, every time your child got sick? So I have 5 children. When my kids got sick, I would write it out. I avoided antibiotics almost every single time, I think except for 2 cases. And one, we wanted to make sure it was bacterial and not viral. If you go to the doctor and they say, you have an infection, here's an antibiotic. Antibiotics only work, it's antibiotic. Biotic is life, anti is without. So it's without life. They're destroying life in your body, destroying the gut bacteria in your body. It may save your life if it's a bad bacterial infection. But if they just say, here's an antibiotic, we didn't test, it's most likely viral if it's upper respiratory, lung, sinus, face, those type of things. I read once about 90% of all these sicknesses are viral. Antibiotics, not only do they not work, but they destroy your own immune system, your own gut immune system. Which then, what they're saying is making yourself more vulnerable for heart disease risk later on. That is the #1 killer in our society right now. A new study suggests that higher levels of exposure to common everyday bacteria and microbes play an important role in the body's inflammation system, which plays a crucial role in the immune system fighting against infection. So, they investigated early childhood environments affecting the levels of C-reactive protein, which rises in the blood because of inflammation. C-reactive protein is also considered by researchers a predictor of heart disease. So you go get tested and your C-reactive protein is high, inflammation is high, you have a higher risk of heart disease. Serious stuff. My dad died at age 50 from heart disease. I'm 54. I'm playing rugby with 20 and 30-year-olds. I'm living life. I have no signs of heart disease because I focus on health, not just getting rid of a sickness. So this is just whopping. Listen to this. This is crazy. United States researchers were interested on how C-reactive protein production differed in other countries. So they went to the Philippines. A population with high levels of infectious disease early in childhood, but low rates of obesity and cardiovascular diseases when they're compared to the Western countries. I once read years ago, Japan heart attack risk was about 1 in 50. Heart attack death was 1 in 50. United States, 1 in 2. 1 in 50, 1 in 2. Wow, contrast. So they studied the Philippines, and this is what they found. So they studied these pregnant moms in their 3rd trimester, and they studied the behavior of their children as they grew up and reached in their 20s. So, blood tests showed that C-reactive protein was at least 80% lower in the participants in the Philippines when they reached young adulthood. So by the time they reached their 20s in the Philippines, 80% lower inflammation rates, C-reactive protein. Relative to the Americans, who suffered many more infectious diseases as infants and toddlers in the Philippines. They suffered the sickness. They suffered the infections. C-reactive protein concentrations in America in the early 20s were about 1 to 1.5 milligram per liter. Listen, it's 1 to 1.5. Filipino participants in the early 20s had a 0.2 milligrams per liter, 5 to 7 times lower than the average C-reactive protein in Americans. Wow. So, what do? One, do the Filipinos have an immune system to defend, or don't they? Do Americans have an immune system to defend, or don't they? We're all born from God. God created life, and this life, this body we have, absolutely does, or we would all be dead, have the ability. So how do we not only avoid the dangers, the weakening, what we're doing to weakening our immune system is avoiding germs. What we're doing right now. We are destroying and weakening our immune system. We may not get this virus if we don't get exposed to it, which is a good thing. Who wants to have a virus? But on the flip side, we're not exposed to anything. No germs, no bacteria, no other viruses that are stimulating our immune system. So our immune system is getting weaker. When it's weaker, we're more vulnerable. If we do get an infection, we don't have the gut bacteria, the internal immune system, the phagocytes to see and recognize the viruses as dangerous and go and attack them. If we're in a weakened state, we're going to get run over. And that's when we could possibly get sicker and die from another infection, whether it's COVID-19 or any infection. I relate it like this. I went out and we practiced rugby this weekend. And I ran around with 20 and 30-year-old guys. And if you were to come and you didn't practice rugby, and you didn't run around and you didn't hit people, and you weren't physically in shape, when it comes season, whether it's summer or fall, and we have a rugby game, and I invite you out to play a game of rugby, you most likely, if you weren't in shape, you would get annihilated. You would get hurt, you may get broken, you would get cut, you would crawl off the field and think, what are these guys doing? Whether you're 18 years old, 30 years old, or 54 like me, if you're not prepared for it, you're going to get wiped out. But if you plan and train and prepare like I do for rugby, 5 days a week, year-round, I worked out this morning, I ran this morning, preparing myself for a fall season. If I wait for the fall to decide, okay, now's the time to get ready, I'm going to get wiped out. So this is our immune system. We are weakening it because we are crazily trying to avoid things and never being exposed. What about the 5-second rule? This is funny. The 5-second rule doesn't exist. It takes milliseconds for microbes to attach themselves to a sticky piece of jammy toast or anything else that falls. So when it falls, it's not like bacteria and these little germs see it and they start running over and you have 5 seconds to pick it up. They're on the floor. They're on the table. They're on the plate. They're on your fork. They're everywhere. We should keep clean, but we need to be exposed to dirt. And you know, unless you, and this is what it says, unless you dropped your piece of food in an extremely dangerous pathogens in an area that you knew COVID-19 might exist, don't eat it. That's stupid. But if it falls in your kitchen, pick it up and eat it if you want. I never had trouble with that with my kids. What about a pacifier? So moms, this might freak some of you out. I did it because it was convenient and I didn't buy into the germs are going to kill us theory. I bought into we need germs to stimulate us. Big deal. They're around us. Whether they're around us on the table or on the paper and we're touching it or not, we're ingesting them. We're getting them. So a pacifier, when it falls to the ground, do you wash it or do you lick it? Their advice? Lick it. A study of over 300,000 children showed that 300,000, big study, showed that parents who licked the pacifier and put it back in, their kids developed less allergies, less asthma, less eczema. How about that? So, kid drops food on the floor, let him eat it. The pacifier, I always laugh when parents are here and the baby has a pacifier and it falls on the floor. I look at it, I won't touch it. But they look at it and sometimes they put it in a bag. Some of them go into the bathroom and clean it. I think they may do it because they think, I'll think they're crazy, horrible parents. But I love the parents who look at it and shove it back in. Let it stop them from crying. Or lick it, throw off the dirt and the hair and shove it back in. That's building immunity. If you are avoiding all that stuff and you continue to avoid that stuff, you're making yourself weaker. I know it sounds gross at times when you're eating dirt and people put things like this in their mouth. Ooh, that's so gross. We can't avoid it. So don't worry. Take some stress off. Relax. Clean your hands. Of course, we should wash our hands and keep clean. But you've got to be, if you're living in that bubble, you're trapped. You're trapped emotionally, spiritually, chemically. God didn't design us for this. God designed us to live and enjoy the earth and take care of the earth and take care of ourselves. And if you do take care of yourself and you build an immunity, then you'll have the strength to go out in the environment and not fear. We also have a new product in this week. It's an immune boosting product, has a bunch of herbs. It's on sale this week. If interested, please message me, or when you're in the office, check it out. It has, I forgot. Hey, Wendy, can you grab that new supplement? I'll just read it because I forget. It has a bunch of stuff in it. And these are things too, when you're eating fruits and vegetables.
Hi, everybody.
And you're eating, you're drinking water and you're exercising, you're going out for a run, you're riding your bike outside, and let you breathe in the fresh air. Those are all good. And you can take supplements. So this new supplement called Innate Emergency Immune Support, vitamin C, and this is crazy. Why aren't they talking about vitamin C and talking about eating oranges and eating salads and eating nutrients in plants that are healthy for us, that build our immune system, taking acidophilus, taking a probiotic? They don't talk anything about that. They're just talking about a vaccine. Vitamin E, vitamin B, zinc, L-glutamine, elderberry. We know that elderberry, who created elderberry? Oh, it was a lab. Oops, my wrong, it was God. God created elderberry, boosts your immune system. So we have vitamin C, E, zinc, B6, L-glutamine, elderberry, echinacea, garlic, and turmeric. And it has acidophilus. It has probiotic activity in it. Crazy stuff. This is awesome. I found this when I was looking for supplements to help this time, because people, I know everyone's afraid. They're trying to, what do we need to take? What do we need to take? So people will go out and they'll buy turmeric. They'll buy vitamin C. They'll buy vitamin E, vitamin B12, phytonutrients here. And next thing you know, they're leaving with, $100 worth of products. You can get all this. I think it's $28. Might be on sale this week. You can get it all in one. So when you do things like that, you're building your immune system. The more you build, the less you fear. The more you build, the less risk you have to die. Simple as that. It's your responsibility to build. So I hope that helped. I hope that gave you a little inspiration. If your kid drops, we call it a nuck. I used to love those things, man. It would shut them up. They cry, you shove it, and then they suck away. And I didn't care. I'd look at them, spit, and boom, back in. Let them eat the food off the floor. Let them enjoy life. Don't be too crazy worried about cleaning everything. You have the ability to heal and fight and defend yourself, but build it. So I hope that helps, inspires you. Have a great day. God bless, and live happy.